Marketing is a means to an end. And the end is the growth of the business in a profitable way.
We have 5 new pieces of creative. And so I said, what if we did this?
No bidding strategy is going to cure a bad business model.
Very true. This is where it's really crazy. I want that on every meeting I have.
It's like your walk-up song, in
Right.
baseball or, your entry, whatever it is.
Right. I'm a bit of a redneck, so like WWE entrance, as
Oh,
I'm going to the ring.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Wrong sport. That's the sport right there. Yeah. I'm thinking like, closer that comes out of the bullpen,
Right.
That's like the walk-up song, or like Enter Sandman, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, we are back.
Yeah. It's been a little bit of a break.
A little bit of a break. Good break. Hopefully it was a good break for you. I know you've been, I don't think you really take days off, but you probably took a couple of days off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you take some days off?
I did. Yeah, like I was still getting some emails because obviously it's like you got the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, New Year's, and all the other stuff, and like Christmas, and like everything is like there's always some sort of sale whenever everyone's off, and
Right.
so it's like we're always the people working. But it was
Right.
more like a couple hours here and there, some things at night, and just kind of catching up with a few things. But other than that, it was actually nice and relaxing. How about you?
Yeah. No, same. I know, like I've had a good vacation when by the last couple of days, I'm kind of getting bored.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go back. So yeah, that's always a good sign. That doesn't always happen. It's always like, oh, I gotta, I need a couple more days. This one, yeah, because we did a staycation. We didn't go anywhere. We usually go somewhere between Christmas and New Year's, but like unfortunately, my mother-in-law passed, and so we had that whole
I'm sorry to hear that.
thing. Yeah, but she was 93. She
lived
had
a great life then.
She had an amazing life.
It's the only thing you can really ask for. Death is inevitable, but when you get lucky.
Yeah, seriously. So I mean, jeez, hope I get to 93.
I know. I'm hoping to make it past 50 at this rate.
She was like totally on it until like the last 2-3 weeks.
Oh yeah,
great conversations, still really with it, remembering everything. So anyway, so there was that. So we had to sort of stick around, but usually we go someplace. So it was a little bit, it was like twiddling my thumbs. I'm like, wow, I can read a second book. How is that possible?
I still haven't read one book.
So I was like, yeah, how many books did you read, John? How many videos did you watch?
I read like 6 or 7 front and back covers and said, nah.
Nah, not for me. Not for me. Well, we're cooking up chaos in the conversion kitchen here today. You've got the sticky pixel.
Yes, the sticky pixel.
I love the names, by the way. That's going right in the title. I love names that you're not really quite sure. It's like kind of, it's definitely clickbaity.
Yeah, you got to watch it to find out.
You got to watch it to find out what is the sticky pixel from John Moran. So we're going to talk about that here today, and some other lots of screen sharing,
lots of paint.
Yeah, lots of paint. So yeah, let's get right into it.
Perfect.
Yeah,
let's do it. So today is going to be we're talking about something that I've kind of coined as the sticky pixel. The reason why I've coined it the sticky pixel is because with the new updates in Andromeda and Gem, the way that the audiences now function inside of Meta is more like a core group of users rather than a campaign testing creative on new users, on new ads. So what we've figured out through the tier 11 data suite is like pretty much the best way to prove it. And we've actually disproved some Meta reps in real time, which was fantastic because the Meta reps sometimes regurgitate things that might be 6 months, 1 or 2 years old, and Meta is actually moving faster than the reps can keep up, which is really why you're all here. This is what we're
and
finding.
you've got a really good one with one of your private company accounts that I'm like, oh my god, she's really good.
Yeah, we got direct access to the actual Meta engineers, which I'm like, I just lucked out, kind of like how I found my wife, right place at the right time. So if I can trick them to stick around, I'm good at that.
Don't cheat on her.
Right. No, she's my only wife and Meta rep.
That's good. That's right. 2 constants that you're never going to get rid of. Excellent.
Exactly right. So here's kind of what we're finding. And I've dubbed this the sticky pixel because it seems that is the best way to describe this. So this is representative of an audience that you have been building inside of Meta for like the, let's say, last 6 months, 2 years, 10 years, 3 days, whatever it may be. But since Andromeda has come out, what you're doing is your ad spend is basically funneled to this group of users in a cloud, when the cloud is essentially just your business's cloud and your business manager inside of Meta. Also an extremely similar structure inside of the Performance Max engine and the demand engine inside of Google, which is the same engine. The only difference between Performance Max and Demand Gen is search and shopping is not included in Demand Gen, at least from the shopping network, but the feed shopping items are. So they are very, very similar.
We're talking about ad account here, like the entire ad account, not like a campaign or an ad set or anything like that. We're talking about the entire ad account, which has been trained on that pixel for a long period of time, correct?
And it's almost like your entire website. So now, remember like 5 years ago when me, you, and I think Cosm were all joking around, we're like, soon Meta and Google is going to be like, give me your website, give me your credit card, and I'm off to the races. Well, we're very close to being there, where it's like, give me your website, and i.e. I'll put a pixel on it, and then give me your credit card and also your creative, and I will just do the rest. We're sort of in that ecosystem now. So it kind of snuck up on us. And what we're seeing is that if you wanted to take a campaign that is targeting like a core group of people that you are targeting, let's just say this campaign A is here, and this campaign A is now targeting all of these people in this audience here. If you develop a new campaign, campaign B down here, people believe that a new campaign, new ad set, new creative is going to go find new users. And what we're actually finding out is this also just kind of goes into the same realm. So where we're starting to see some inefficiencies in things like creative testing and new campaign, or sorry, new campaign and new ad set growth that is independent from the original ad set, original creative, is sort of now blends together. And your campaigns or your ad sets or your creative, the new ones that you're uploading, is now just the next evolution of communication to the users that are kind of stuck in your audience because you have a sticky pixel. Your pixel is now sticky to these users, which means Meta is going to do everything it can to keep them there. It's trying to not let them go. In fact, they're doing everything they can to ensure that a new campaign doesn't go to a new audience. And that is the generative ads model that is explaining how the user base that is interacting with your ads sort of have a AI built in on their end that says, because Ralph looked at this, liked this, comment this, clicked on this, watched this more than once, re-engaged with it, liked it, commented, shared it with a friend, etc., your user feedback as to how you're interacting with those ads is what is going to show you more or less from that industry, not the company, but all companies in that industry, because of the targeting that you're portraying to Meta. Right. You click on a shoe ad, you're going to get shoe ads. You click on a bicycle ad, you're going to get bicycle ads from everyone. We've all experienced that. Instagram and Facebook both do it the same way because they're the same network.
I'm assuming that you are assuming that the pixel has an infinite lifespan. Yeah. I remember there was a point in time where like, yeah, well, it degrades after a certain period of time. So you're basically saying that the pixel that a user's click from 5 years ago is still in this cloud in the ad account, like it's an infinite lifespan.
Yeah. And they almost seem like there's traffic that always moves into this cloud and traffic that always moves out of the cloud.
Okay.
So essentially, these are people that are like new, just finding out about you, who you are, and they're on their way in. And then whatever happens in here, either buy, die, or unsubscribe, and then they move out and they start heading in an opposite direction. And this is a moving average. So it almost is like the more ad spend, the more people that we're bringing in, and the less people that are moving out, because it is re-engaging them more, because you have higher ad spend, higher frequency, more creative, more engagement. So what we're seeing here is that the way that we have to structure our creative and our ad spend is now about, well, what is the next thing that you're going to talk to in this core group of audiences here that you have built? And this is a much different way of thinking than, well, let's test that ad versus this ad, or let's test that campaign versus this campaign, or that ad set or this ad set, or that targeting, this targeting. And Meta is getting so good at targeting nowadays that I have a small little case study that I want to share with you that kind of proves this model a little bit, where we have this one campaign, which is a catch-all. So this is all three of our products. We have three kind of peptide products, and this one campaign has all three peptides in them. And then I have each one of the peptides out on their own. So I have a enclomiphene TRT GOP peptide campaign. TRT is not technically a peptide, but I'm not going to say the S word here on YouTube and everything, because you get medications get kind of weird. So I'm just going to call them peptides, just for use of conversation. And what's interesting about this is there's been kind of two large stages that this company has gone through. The first stage is this campaign here that has been on for some time. If we look at the maximum charts in this campaign has been on essentially since September 6th of 2025, and has spent $563,000 registering 32,000 new leads for the company. This was their main way of selling their peptides. They are prescriptions. So they generate a lead, they get hooked up with a salesperson, they go through their health, and then they release them to a doctor. Doctor prescribes, and you're off to the races. So that has generated
multi-step form, if I recall.
Well, like actually, this is pre that, but yes, they did move into that. Yeah, sorry. So this was like you go to the PDP and you're like, request a consultation, and then boom, lead. Basically.
Oh, okay. So it's one click, and then that becomes the registration on that secondary page. Got it.
Yeah. And now you're going to talk to a sales team and then get a prescription. So it was very, very like old school lead generation type of methodology.
Yep.
However, since you spent $500,000 building that audience, you have trained $500,000 worth of pixeled users to your pixel, to your account, to your website, to your entire ads campaign.
Sure.
And now what we have to look at is, okay, what was the message that was said to them most often? And so if I take off, I'm just going to use this and showcase a ad spend descending. Last 30 days was still $200,000. So there is still a lot of ad spend going into this campaign. And we have to look at, well, what is the brand messaging that our users are seeing? Because remember, we have a core group of audience. Even if I wanted to, I have to shut down this account and the website and the pixel before I can change audiences. And so we have to look at this and say, what has our main audience that we have been growing with $500,000? What have we been telling them? Because that will then inform us, what do we tell them next? And how do we measure?
Right.
So we look at this and say, okay, so far, and I'm just going to paraphrase this, but we have these peptides and we're cheap is the main messaging. The next ad that has the highest ad spend down, we have peptides and they're cheap. $389 for 3-month kit. Wow. We have peptides.
Different presentation, same basic message.
Same core concept, hook, and offer. The concept is, hey, we're cheap. And the hook is, hey, we're cheap. It's kind of
concept. That's what Meta is, right?
Yep. Yeah. The concept that they've started with is, hey, we're inexpensive, not cheap. We're inexpensive. So yes, when you have nothing but inexpensive ads, one after another, that is only focusing on the low price that we have, in what we are assuming right now is, okay, well, people are signing up. Now, I'm going to pause here because there's a real life scenario that then happens. The creative that has been uploaded to Meta that has driven $500,000 in ad budget. Now, when we're talking to the sales team says, sometimes we call these people, they don't know who we are. They don't know why they're calling. They don't even remember signing up with us. Why? Because, hey, I got drugs that'll make you skinny and they're cheap. Hey, I got drugs that'll make you more bulky in the gym and they're cheap. Right. So it's like you have these people that are just real bottom of the funnel, but they're also real low quality because you got them there by saying, hey, I got some drugs and they're really cheap. You want some? Like that's really not your, not a high quality client for life, simply due to the fact that I'm being over exaggerated to make.
Plus, there's not a lot of pre-qualification here.
Exactly right. There's no pre-qualification. There's no brand story, messaging, nothing. We have not really hit upon all the reasons why we're inexpensive, not cheap.
I'm aware of the solution. All I'm really now looking for is basically the cheapest price. I know what like a TRT is. I know what a GLP-1 is. I know like I'm looking for that. My doctor may or may not prescribe it for me. I want it cheap. And
exactly right.
That's basically what you're getting at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you get roped in by the, hey, it's cheap and we got it. And at the point in time where you're like, I'm going to have to stick this into my butt cheek and inject this into my body. Are we sure this is like, legit?
Right.
Because that's a really inexpensive price. So when we went through the sales team and said, hey, what are some objections that are coming through? Or what are some questions that we most often see?
So this is a little market research.
Exactly.
For John Moran.
Yep.
Excellent.
So the market research here, when we're looking at all of our questions and answers, the first one is, well, where do the medications come from?
So this is taken from their their first consultation, or this is from, where is this coming from?
Amalgamation of the consultations, the most asked question, and one of the most reasons why they didn't buy, or they don't really want to buy, is it seems too good to be true, and I'm nervous that this is like bunk gear, basically, like not legitimate, high quality, potent stuff that I'm going to have to inject into my leg.
Got it. So you sucked me in with the price.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of, I don't really know. Are you legit? Which is, this is human nature.
Exactly right.
Yeah. 1 in 100 is going to have to, after that registration, say, yeah, I'm going to buy it. You know, so you need a secondary strategy in order to convince them to take the next step.
Like if you look back and said, is the concept that we went off of, hey, we're inexpensive, was that the right one? Well, actually, in my opinion, yeah, because you can scoop up all the people that are ready to buy now, and this company is not hurting by any means. We're looking at 300 and 400 leads a day, so we're not hurting here at all. It's
but working. Also, that is their unique selling proposition for this particular type of company. Not every company is going to have this USP, so to speak. Going back to like marketing speak from like 1989. But anyway, point is that like this is the one that you're testing right now, but you're seeing that there's objections after the fact.
Exactly. Like it's not fully smooth yet. We need more education to the user. And so that's what's interesting is traditionally when you said, okay, we need to attack the market in a different angle. Well, one of the things that people or agencies or media buyers or companies may try is, well, let's try a different campaign. Let's try some variation of the messaging. And that assumption is, well, we'll go and try new messaging to new people to see how does that work compared to the, hey, it's cheap message, or hey, it's inexpensive messaging, or it's on sale, or it's low cost, whatever you want to describe it as. But when they would typically develop 3 campaigns, 2 different ad sets, 2 different other hooks and offers, and see kind of what moves the needle, you need to make it a much more concerted effort than that, because you can actually cause more damage than good. What the generative ads model,
concerted effort.
Well, if you're going to say, what should we tell them next? Don't choose 3 things and put 10% of ad spend there. And that typically is what happens. Don't protect that main campaign. Don't hurt that campaign. Just go and test.
You're getting the interest. They're saying, yes, I am interested, which is good.
Yes, exactly right. I'm interested. And what they did is they scaled the thing up to 200 grand a month, and it's working. So it was enough to kind of, at least get the company off the ground and make some good revenue. But they hit scale walls where you could double the ad spend. They generated twice the amount of leads, but the sales only eked up like 15%, because we brought a whole bunch of more people in that were actually less apt to buy because we're more upper funnel, because we're scaling it. And these people said, yeah, I heard about you guys and I'm kind of interested, but now I'm really nervous because I wasn't really thinking about it, but I filled out the form and now I'm here.
Yeah.
So we actually saw lower response rates, colder, worse traffic coming through, actually filling out the form, because it was like 1 click and you can get free drugs. Okay, well, did we get what we get? So when we're looking at this, we're saying, well, what else do we tell this sticky pixeled audience? Because that's actually how it works, is you have to make a concerted effort to say, well, what is next? You necessarily can't say, well, let's try 5 other concepts at 10% of the ad spend and see what works, because when those other 5 concepts go live, they're actually going back to the people that knew it was cheap. And now they're going to be hearing a second message, a third, fourth, and fifth message. What message is working? Well, you took 5 random low spend ads to $500,000 worth of an audience, and whatever landed. And that is used as a gauge of, well, this is where the market's moving. These are working now. When it's not, it's a small subset of just conversion events that happen with the lowest form of people, the lowest bottom of the funnel people that are going to convert anyway. So it's actually not a creative testing, because it's going back to warm traffic. So when you have to make a concerted effort to put your best foot forward, you have to almost pause in your brain. It's not a traffic issue yet. It's not even a creative issue yet. It's a branding message now. So we almost have to go way back all the way at the beginning. And we said, okay, it's cheap. What did we get? Well, what is the next thing that we're going to make a full bore concerted effort? We are going, full ad spend in on, and closing our eyes and saying, that's what's next. And so what we did is we went through the whole product diversification and we talked about quality. So we talked about quality next. Why? Well, when people are like, well, where do the medications come from? That's how we address the largest problem is, yes, cheap, but are you getting out of this, back of a van in South Mexico? Like, I want to know, is this even real?
Not anything against South Mexico. If we have some South Mexican listeners, watchers.
Well, most famous place in Arizona to get drugs is Mexico, and sometimes those aren't real. So unfortunately, that's
water in a vial.
Yeah. Right. So when we looked at this, we said, okay, let's build out 240 more new ads and 5 new campaigns. Talk about quality and talking about user experience and saying
same targeting.
Well, we actually use broad targeting because that's what's fun. Is it is actually the same targeting.
In the old days, can I just ask? In the old days, you would take all those registration pixeled people and you would target them.
Yep.
But you're not doing that. You're still doing open targeting because you want to go really broad. Obviously, your CPMs are going to rise if you're going to a custom audience. But like that's the old way of doing things. This is fascinating because my brain immediately went to, all right, well, just get those people in a retargeting campaign and like hit them with all the objections and FAQ videos and you name it, and then they'll convert and ultimately buy. But no, you have a different strategy in mind, I believe.
You know what's funny is that's exactly already what's happening though. And it's happening with broad targeting. That's what's cool. That's the uniqueness of this whole thing.
Because you don't have to separate it out. Meta's going to figure out the people who have already engaged anyway and who are registrations, on the event. Got it.
Yep. And even people that are maybe not even registered yet. It's going to go back to those people too. And so that's what's cool.
They hovered over the ad or maybe clicked or didn't, like they engaged in some way, shape, or form. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah. And so what's funny is like, we typically have to like take all the people that have already registered, where you and I absolutely the first place your mind go is we'll move them down the funnel manually. Right. Now, by letting it broad targeting and letting it go where it needs to, not only can we attract all the people that have completed the registrations, but we can also go back to the people that have not. And that's a large audience over there too.
It's a big audience.
And that audience at that high ad spend, a small movement down there can make a big change to the top line if they're going to be in the same audience, in which they are. So what's cool about this? Oh, go ahead.
And you have no real, logically you think, well, somebody who fills out the registration form is more engaged. Not necessarily though. Somebody who hovers over an ad is thinking about it or just clicks and goes to the page and then, back clicks, they could be just as engaged because these are lightly engaged folks. You're not going through a 5-step, qualification process. It's basically, it's one thing and then boom, they are a registration.
Yep.
So
exactly right.
So old school marketers would have an issue with this because they're like, no, that's wasted traffic. It's not though.
Oh, those are people that are actually more hot, more recent. They haven't even converted yet. The people that have already converted that have talked to your team and said, I don't know who you are. Those are the dead and gones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what's funny is like when we're looking at these things, I said, well, if I'm using broad targeting, GLP-1 campaign plus a TRT campaign, we're scaling them now because we got them launched and everything's working. So we're pushing ad spend. What's funny about this is I've used broad targeting in both. And you know what? I'll just prove it to you. In the TRT campaign, if we go into the broad targeting campaign here, and we look at the audience, my TRT, which is a male-dominated industry with about 90% market share of men and 10% market share of women.
18 to 65 all
18
genders.
to 65 all gender. Isn't that the stupidest thing you'll ever do? Like
I would look at this. This guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Right? Exactly. This guy's an idiot. He's marketing 50% women, males testosterone.
John Moran doesn't know anything.
Idiot.
But
and so what's funny is them going to the
we just had a customer who actually did that to you anyway. I was reading the email. Like, what is he doing? Only 2 of the ads out of 30 are getting engagement. Like, that's how it's supposed to work, moron.
You're welcome. The best ads are showing the most amount of ad spend. So what's funny is this thing here in broad targeting,
too, by the way. Anyway, keep going.
In broad targeting and TRT, since the campaign launched basically on Christmas Eve. But we have a TRT campaign targeting 50% men and 50% women. And when you look at the amount spent in this campaign so far, it is 92% men, 7% women, which I know women close to me who are on TRT. It is a thing. It is to bring your hormones to an optimal level. It's not because they want to get steroids and go to the gym. It is to keep hormone balance. So there is a surging market of women that are joining the TRT trend just at a 1/10 dose because that's appropriate for the body that their doctors recommend. But with 50-50 male and female targeting, to then get a 92% male audience in the first week is why your targeting is now up to a suggestion. This is the part that people typically can't wrap their head around. And I have a really good example now of I can go broad targeting on Christmas and then bam, nail exactly right.
this is so powerful because like this, I know we've talked about this hundreds of times on this show.
Yeah.
Is obviously is like Andromeda does the targeting for you, but Creative really does the targeting. But still, like they know this is a male dominated campaign here for sure.
Yeah.
But if you did cut off female, if you just did male in the demographic, I mean, I'm thinking, between 35 and 65 plus is in that market. Would it change anything? Would it enhance performance? Like you're always sort of thinking as a marketer is like, okay, we're giving the algorithm all this leeway, but is there a way where I can tweak it at all? Like have you even tried that?
Yeah. I've tried suggesting audiences and it just always goes the wrong direction.
Okay.
The only thing I was thinking about is the people that are hot to trot new and I need to get in front of before anybody else has not been identified by the algorithm as a person that's interested in this. And that's kind of my edge.
Okay.
So if I can gain attraction on you because you have a great hook and hold rates and click the rates, if I can capture your attention because I'm the first thing you saw and you're the first one to tell me, and it's the first time we've ever had this type of relationship and first time I've ever had a relationship with a person like you and first time you've ever had a relationship with a person like me inside of a Meta advertiser, if I'm the first person to make that connection, I'm the first ad they click on before they get bombarded by all my competitors. And now all my competitors are using targeting by saying, who's interested in TRT? Well, all the people John found and converted, you can have some of those if you like.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's okay. So what the female demographic and male demographic splits, when I was looking it up, I used Gemini because I like Gemini, but I was asking questions about the male and female population on TRT. It's almost a 91.9. Like we're getting 92.8. And it's nailing it. And
So
this has only been live since Christmas Eve. And so you can see a halfway point between Christmas Eve and today, cut it in half. Our spend has gone up 33%. So it's only $90. It went from 260 to 360, but our conversions went up, our cost per conversion went down 85% for a new customer, went from $268 down to $39 for a new TRT customer. And
$39 NCAC on TRT.
And then we gained 800% more new customers this last week.
Fantastic.
So everything is heading directly in the right direction. But here's what's interesting. The reason why these campaigns are just kind of like shooting up to the moon, these three main ones, not the catch-all. I'll talk about that one, why this one is actually going to be eradicated because of the gem model with the sticky pixel. But because these are all scaling up really fast and all going from 88, 265 down to 50, 40, 30, I mean, we're gaining new prescription customers at sub $50 now. Like this is fantastic stuff in the first week because I didn't do anything but make sure that my brand messaging to the sticky pixel was in a logical sequence to a sale. What we mean by that is if you look at all of these campaigns, let me just take off the targeting or take off the before and after. And if you sort descending by spend, one thing that sticks out is 178 of the $350 out of 44 ads. Well, actually, it's more than that. If you look at the amount spending here, these two here, the two top ads that are the same ad because I have two different campaigns using the same ads because they can overlap. But now we have $900 out of the $2,600 that's going to the two same ads. What are those ads? Well, we know the main question from the sticky pixel audience is where do the medications come from? So is it any shock to anybody that the best performing ads are the ones that say $264 for a 5-month supply? Is this with a real doctor? Seems kind of shady.
We used to call these objection killer ads back in the old e-com ad amplifier days, but now it's like the e-com ad amplifier. We don't separate out traffic. Yep. Obviously, just sending to the same broad audiences because Meta knows exactly who to target, but it is consistent. So it's the sticky pixel. It's the next step after, all right, you got this stuff. It's cheap, but it sounds too good to be true. Let me overcome that objection with a video. I assume this is a video and it hits like a couple of different, I know we've done these videos. I haven't actually seen them, but yeah, I assume they hit a couple of those top objections to the sale, which you got from, their customer success or their client services or even their salespeople.
Yep. And 34% hook rates. They start off perfectly. Well, now this is also a shout out to Lauren and her team at tier 11 for the creative because they are just
creative.
Unbelievable creative. I've had a few rounds of massive creative updates from Lauren and her team, and they have literally hit the mark on the head every single time. I can prove that with data, and I've spent millions on it. So Yes, I know that. But here's what's funny is
By the way, best decision we ever made is
I
to
know,
work
right?
with them about a year ago. Lost 325, Lauren Schwartz and her team. Amazing creative team we got here. So anyway,
So here's what's cool is we gave it 231 ads in these 4 campaigns.
Wow.
There's 231 variations that the sticky pixel could have engaged with. It's not out of just happenstance that the majority of the users in the main kind of 2 big campaigns all want to know, is this shit legit?
Yeah.
Because we've spent $500,000 telling people that it's cheap. What's the next thing they're going to say? That sounds good. Is it any good? Very logical. Now, we have a very concerted effort with this. What I mean by that is we have spent, or what we're doing is we are ramping up and we're spending the amount of money here. We have the four new campaigns. These 4 campaigns are all getting ad spend increases like crazy. Now we're all just ramping up 100 or 300% each one of these ads in the last like day or so. So if we're looking at like essentially yesterday compared to the previous period, because it's working so well, we're just like 50%, 60%. We're just going to keep going. This thing is just going to go up, and it's going to overtake this main ad campaign here. So we're going to get this up to about 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 grand a day. Like that's what we're on track to do. That's the plan. And what's interesting about this is because we took this new approach with these users, a byproduct of this is, remember that main campaign here that generated all these users?
Yeah.
Well, we're now spending 0.19% difference, $100 difference on these people. And now the completed registrations are going from $19 down to $17. So it's a 7% decrease in the cost per result. And now we have 8.5% more. So we have 246 more leads for $100. Why did that happen? Because this audience here that built everyone, we are now speaking to them better, overtaking that campaign. We're bringing them into the new era of what this company is needing to portray as a brand messaging. And the old audience that was halfway disengaged saw the new ads that says, hey, yes, it's cheap, but you talked with a doctor, there's blood work. I mean, all this stuff, it's legit. They're like, oh, I'm good now. And the top line performance that we see now, this is, again, the Christmas Eve. And I have this improved, so I just can't show the email because you'll see all the people that work there and everything. Yeah. But we were averaging about 300 to 340 on average. And now we're kind of breaking through the over 400 leads per day. And this has all happened with a total ad spend increase of $350. So we generate 50 more leads on average per day with a weekly increase of 0.62% in ad spend. That's why? Insane. Because the sticky pixel of the massive $500,000 worth of users, we're loving on them more and we're bringing them to the promised land. We are not chucking them out the window and say, let's try something else. That is how we accelerate a company growth for a very nominal increase in ad spend, by doing better diversified creative, answering questions, and actually telling these people who we are and why we're important and why they should care.
This is like a feeder strategy, really, like with the registration and then go to the bottom. Like, this is like, this like what's new is old to a certain degree. I don't know if you remember this in 2013, 2014. The whole thing was you had to train the pixel on whatever step it was before the step that you actually wanted, and then create other ads and create. So you would create like a lead ad, and then you would create an add to cart, campaign. You would create a lead campaign, an add to cart campaign, and then you create a purchase campaign. And they all sort of fed each other, but you had to do it manually. You did it with custom audiences. Now you don't do any of that. It's all
you
wide open.
Just do the ads, but you just skip the media buying portion of that journey, and you still have to follow the process. And I remember someone you and I have known for over 10 years where it's like, we should probably do something like a pixel content, lead magnet, tripwire, core offer, value optimizer, ascension path.
Yeah. Ryan Dice, he doesn't subscribe to that anymore, though. He's so far.
We'd like to thank our future sponsor, Ryan Dice, for his future contribution to our show.
Hey, he's the one who got me into this. That was the first information product I ever bought, by the way. 43 split tests by Ryan Dice. Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah, he got me with the lead magnet, and I was hooked.
Yeah, it's good. No, this is like, this is the way that it should work, but it's much easier to set up. And logically, you think about it. It's like, how do humans buy? They don't buy all at once. It's like they want to feel like they're controlling their own destiny, and you're doing that, but you are it's informed advertising on the second step.
Right.
And that's the key. The interesting part of this is that it's a video on that one that's getting all the ad spend on the conversion campaign for the purchase. How did you guys come up with that? Was it because there's a lot of ads in there working with Lauren and her team? Was it their suggestion? Was it the client's suggestion? How did that all sort of come about?
Yeah, so Lauren did a really good understanding of like, here's the messaging that they've been receiving lately. And Lauren and her team are fantastic in saying like, hey, here's some of the angles that we can attack based on the feedback. Because the frequent asked questions, the FAQs, they're not exactly like, no, I hate you guys, and I'm never going to buy from you. It was like, how soon after? We almost basically went down the gambit of this here by saying, where do the medications come from? Yeah. Am I locked into any automatic payments or contracts? Because, hey, it's cheap. So the people are concerned about, but do I have to pay you a lot of money a long time because it's cheap, lower lead quality kind of thing. And then how soon after I meet with a physician do I get my medication? Like it's cheap and I want it now. Will I meet with the physician in order?
Does the video, I guess my question is does the video address those top 5? Like,
yes, it does.
It does. Okay.
Not that one video, but all of these do. And
all
so they do it. Yes. So even this one says like, do I meet with a real doctor? Because that's pretty cheap. So it's kind of shady. So that's like, yes, you actually do. You do meet with a doctor. You meet with a physician. The physician will be the person that orders a medication for you when you're approved for the treatment. Like it's all, we're not just going to, send this stuff out of the back of a van. Like it's legit. Like, don't worry. And so when you have that, and you also have the founder, you have the founders, like kind of, other people that are coming on board. Like you have the founder, you have the founder's brother. He's like a famous comedian and stuff like that too. So he was involved and they were talking back and forth and addressing like, hey, how does this work and why is it important? And then we also are starting to go more towards like the, the upper echelon type of ads. We don't believe in normal, more like abnormal. So what's funny about this is there's a few ways that you can attract an audience when you're talking about health. And you can say, don't have TRT, have TRT. That's a have and have not. And then you have the next level up is the daily feels. So you feel more energized, more youthful, or you don't. The next one up is how did it change your life? I can play with my kids more. I have a better relationship with my spouse and yada, yada, yada. Versus, my wife hates me and my kids don't know my name because I'm always asleep on the couch. And then the final echelon that you can reach at the top is status, which is I look like a fit, rich, amazing 45-year-old man that everyone wants to be with kind of thing. So you can kind of, we went from the it's cheap, don't have TRT, it's cheap, now you got TRT. So we're kind of testing it's quality and you're going to feel good. And this is how it's going to change your life. Those are 241 ads that are going to bring everybody up to the top, but we have to answer the questions before we can bring them to the next level.
Right. You can't go right from it's cheap and here's your transformation.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I mean, maybe some people will to a certain degree, but like here's your
after TRT, maybe not with enclamafene because what's that?
Yeah. Right. And I would imagine the same thing applies on the GLP-1 side. Because I mean, we're using the TRT as an example here. But GLP-1, same basic strategy in a lot of ways. We got this thing and it's cheap. And then it's like, all right, well, is it legit? Like all the same types of things. You went through the same sort of scenario or sort of work, flow in order to determine what that conversion-based ad is going to sound like and what it's going to look like and how it's going to resonate.
Exactly right. And one kind of new update to the feeder that you're going to see here is I ran these in a slight different variation of the feeder. And you'll see that I'm actually not scaling this one campaign here because of the sticky pixel. And what I mean by that is this campaign here, when you look over to the side and you say, hey, there's two main groups of campaigns here. I wish can I grow this at all? Okay, there we go.
I think so.
So here's the thing. This is This is a product. This is a product campaign. This one here is a single product campaign as well. This one here is a single product campaign as well. And then this campaign has all three, all in one. Now, this one, remember, this was going to be originally ran as a feeder, each one of these as a feeder. However, because when you set up a campaign, you're not allowed to change the attribution settings post-launch, I didn't know which way the feeder was going to go, meaning were these going to these individual campaigns, am I just going to keep spiking up spend? And is that main campaign going to be the one that converts everybody? or can these campaigns live on their own? The only difference in the feeder strategy on Meta is the 7-day click, 1-day view, 1-day engage view. And I purposely left these here on their own, saying, no, if you're hitting the right audience with the right ads and you have your own independent ad spend, you should be allowed to live on your own, not have to have this one campaign kind of do all the remarketing and do all the warm traffic and scoop it up. It started off to do that. It was 23 versus 4 versus 1 versus 4. Like, it started to do that. We know that happened. But what you can see is over time, these campaigns were doing such a good job at hitting the right target, re-engaging the right target. It started to steal away from those campaigns. So this now, I can see that, yes, I lost 8 in the main campaign, but I gained 8 up here. I gained 3 more up here, and I gained 6 more up here. So I can see that this campaign here is reducing in new customer acquisition. These campaigns are increasing in new customer acquisition. And this campaign here is no longer going to be needed because these are such 3 different diversified users that they would not be remarketed to by the main campaign. Right. Didn't know that at the time. They're all 3 health, but they are fairly unique enough that they can live on their own. And now I have 3 independent campaigns where now a client can call up and say, John, give me more TRT customers.
Yeah.
Give me less in clomiphene. Exactly right. Now we can control this.
And because they are basically going like that one master, like I look at the registrations as like the feeder, I guess. And then the other ones is the convert, I guess.
Exactly right.
Like how we call them. But anyway, so you've got all of the products in one. That is being deduped versus the other 3 campaigns as well. But because the other 3 campaigns are so laser focused on those individual products, they'll eventually take over all the volume, is what you're saying.
And they're, exactly right. And they're doing that. Not only are they taking over the volume, they're actually getting a better performance, starting from a worse performance than the main campaign.
Killer.
So dropping, we lost $200 a cost per result, lost $14 cost per result. We lost $26 cost per result, which now means 46, 36, 39. I mean, how many more free customers do you want that has pure LTV profitability?
In that space for that kind of NCAC?
With $500,000 ad spend?
That's outstanding. That's crazy performance.
Right
there.
And so that's what's the creative diversification that you can only get through the creative at tier 11, combined with the what's it called? The tier 11 data suite, so that you have your first copy imports to retrain the model. But I mean, it's good data in, good data out, good creative in. I mean, it becomes very simple when you're just good at everything.
This is 3 years ago, you would have approached this completely differently. You would have been in clomiphene, TRT, GLP-1 on Google search, probably is my guess.
Yeah.
And you would have been in that bloody red ocean competing with everybody else.
$48, $55 a click.
$50. I was going to say a $50 click. And you're getting customers now, new customers in this space.
For less than the cost of a click.
For less than the cost of a click.
The law of CPMs. That's what I always say. It's the law of CPMs. If you got a $10 CPM and a $10 click, it's your choice between you're going to be getting 1,000 people or 1.
I don't know as if the world understands that.
No.
And when I talk to new prospective clients at tier 11, they're like, yeah, we need Google from you guys. I'm like, no. You don't need Google. Because you don't want to be dealing with like all of those areas where, Brazilian butt lift near me. Like you want to be like talking about the Brazilian butt lifts that you do in the Boston area, and how you do it better in an Andromeda campaign, because you don't want to be paying $70 a click, on Google search, because it just doesn't back out.
No.
So it's
hard to grow a brand one at a time.
Absolutely. What you do want is you want your brand name over on the Google search side, of course, which I have to assume in this particular case with these guys, you got that, because there is going to be let's Google them and see how they're doing. Obviously, what are they all about? So there is that portion of it, but that's a tiny, tiny percentage of spend, as I'm guessing. If not at all, you're not even talking about it. So it's like relatively insignificant.
And what's funny about that too is like you do have that brand messaging that will overlay in all traffic. So what's funny is the same reason why Meta, you don't have to isolate each user during the stage of their funnel and bring them along to the next stage, is because of that sticky pixel, and because they're moving along towards that CPA goal, that cost per result goal. That's how you can cost cap multiple campaigns and they influence each other. It's the same thing that Google's doing on an RLSA. they don't predict that you're going to back into a TCP or TROAS target. They use half-warm traffic to predict who is the most ready to buy, and then they spend on those people. So as you bring better branding to Meta, you have more people that are going to be on your website, which means half the traffic inside of Google is just waiting for those people to convert. So now your ad spend on Google is twice as effective because half the users came from Meta. And so
that's a super good point, by the way.
Rising tides floats all ships.
Yeah,
and exactly right. And the reason why everyone, you like chicken sandwiches? I love chicken sandwiches.
I love chicken sandwiches.
I had no idea that Chick-fil-A was the original chicken sandwich. But if I am looking for a chicken sandwich and Chick-fil-A is like, we fucking invented that, I'm like, oh, I'm going to you. If you were talking about literally anything like Brazilian butt lifts, if I was like the original BBB and you see that all over Facebook and then you go to Google and type in Brazilian butt lift, like you said, and I was the one that was like, remember we're the original, I'm like, oh, duh, I'm going to go to them, not a knockoff. Right. Same exact effect.
You really need one, by the way, a Brazilian butt lift.
I do. I'm on TRT and GLP-1, and I have no butt lift. So,
well, let's get to questions. I think people are getting some value out of this.
Yeah,
my guess. We'll probably have to make a video out of this. I
Probably.
think I am going to rebroadcast this on perpetual traffic. It's just way too good.
It's fun. I love this.
I feel like I'm sort of cheating a little bit on PT, like when we rebroadcast something. But what the hell?
Mistress over here.
This is good shit. Hi, guys. This is JTG Fashions. Glad to have you on the show here today. All right. Devil Gaming 4152. How much time are we? We had 12 minutes. All right. How do you run lead gen campaign with TROAS bid strategy?
Import the actual perceived value of the quality leads back in from your CRM tool into either Meta or Facebook or Meta or Google. What I mean by that is if you have a lead scoring system and you say once they make it to here where they have signed up with a designer for the new kitchen and they put a $500 down payment, the total value of that contract is X, and send that right back into the platform. Yes, it might take you 3 to 6 months to actually close that deal, but if you can generate more at-bats that are that valuable, that's how you do a TROAS, is off of the perceived value of a high 90% chance of close because they made it to that milestone, and only import after they made it to that milestone.
Makes sense. All right. Ollie Lee Boy, what's up,
buddy?
Ollie. How you doing, pal?
He's on some beach somewhere. I always just like, I'm in the tropics of heaven up here. Like, I'm like, oh, okay.
Does he actually really work? I don't really think he works. That's one of the beauties.
But he's a nice guy, so we get like more pass.
For Tier 11. I know. I love him. So it's the PI law ninja. All right. Roman. I'm not going to even try and pronounce the same. When do you usually start your lives? Missing times I had lives with old friend Qasim. Forget about that Qasim guy. He's gone on to other things. 2:30 Eastern every Friday, with the exception of the last 3 weeks because we had to take some time off. So just look at your LinkedIn. Like Tier 11 posts it like 4 or 5 hours before we actually do it. So definitely check it out. 2:30 Eastern every Friday. Yep. Stefan Rusin says, for lead gen, would you consider using native lead form ads for only conversion campaigns to the website using pixel data? Loving the content, learning so much.
I'm not a big proponent of feeding back in data of users that we have not qualified yet. One of the things that I think we do very, very, very well is only feed the algorithmic targeting on both Meta and Google, which also share half the same users, only the data that we want those platforms to continue to go after. So while, yes, you might say native lead forms that are captured at the time and counted as a conversion are good, but if you pick up the phone and you say like, what this client is experiencing here, hey, we'd love to get you on a GLP-1. And they're like, who are you? So you're over there hearing the who are yous, and Meta's over there saying, give me 100 more. So you have a disconnect. Your marketing team is delivering you more of the stuff you don't want. And you can't stop that because your marketing team's a robot. So how do you tell the robot? Stop getting those. How do you do that? Import the good ones.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, we got Roman. We've got some names I can't pronounce here today. I'm just gonna say Roman
John Boyardee.
John Boyardee. That's it. John, if you would want to start Google Ads agency from scratch with really good portfolio, how would you attract more clients? Any recommendations? YouTube channel, LinkedIn, organic, or paid ads? I would say stay the hell out of the agency space.
One honestly thing, like the thing that I did is work for free and build case studies.
That's all I did.
That's exactly right. I mean, if you can prove that you're good, it's worth much more money than trying to charge someone to show them that you're good.
Yeah. That my first client, I charged $100 a month just because he was a friend of mine. Again, I was like, I'm just going to charge you just so it's transactional, so you're not getting something for free. Literally, it sucked, but
you got to start somewhere. And because it's like you can't fake it till you make it, because no one's going to allow you to make it. So one of the things I would say is also, when you start a Google Ads agency and you're going to attract more clients, if you show them in-platform metrics, people like me publicly make fun of that. Yeah. So you have to show how the business grew. That's the only thing that actually matters. In-platform metrics trick idiots. Business growth attracts high-spend clients. So just know the difference between the two.
Wait a second. That's what tier 11 does. You can't give that one away. Jay's Moore doing lead gen for personal injury attorneys. Great. Awesome space. We do a ton of that. It's broken up by state. How would I go about breaking up the campaigns on Meta? And love the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So you could absolutely do a very similar effect with cloning campaigns, just separated out by geography. I will do this here just as a quick example. But if you look at this screenshot here that I can pull up on the screen, because this is now, this is all white labeled. So this is a client that we're spending a good amount of money on. This is about like a monthly ad spend, I think, of like, there's got 186K here, 97K, 130K. You'll see, tier 11, tier 11, tier 11. You got your Thousand Oaks, Philly, Chicago. You got Arizona, New York, LA. Separate them out by geography, totally fine, because you're not going to overlap in campaigns or messaging if they're not even in the same location. So you can absolutely separate them out by geography and be totally good.
Yeah. And no targeting, of course.
Of course. Yeah. Because Meta's going to be better at that than you are.
Yeah. I will say this, in the PI space on Meta, you tend to get the ones that they've had the accident and are sitting on the couch like a couple of months later and feeling like they really got screwed. Yeah. It's usually the ones that are in the, like at the car accident site or whatever the site is. It depends on what kind of PI law they're doing, but there are slightly different demographics for different types of clients for PI law firms based upon Google versus Meta. So all depends on what type of law they're actually practicing.
Yeah. And if you're in Arizona or something like that, you can even say like, got in an accident, sucks, bro. If you're in New England, it's like, did you get in a wicked car accident? Like you can even do things like that. I'm using bad examples, but you can speak the vernacular. Yeah.
Hey, y'all, you hurting down in Texas? Whatever. All right.
Can't eat the cornbread very well because you messed up your shoulder.
Okay. Yeah, you're fixing for a cold beer. All right. Does Meta is Meta good for high ticket purchases like $1,000 plus, or for impulse buying products? Says Roman.
No, Meta is extremely good. One of our clients sells $20,000 outdoor kitchens on Meta, and we sell them for $700 each. So yeah, it works extremely well. But not if your creative sucks, and that's the only thing.
Yeah, it's the
really. Yeah, I mean, it's actually just funny enough, and this is how fast this stuff works because it is a sticky pixel, because we also have Meta. But there is, like, this here was just a new campaign that basically went live for the first time ever in Meta, besides like the little lead generation campaign that they were spending $126,000. But literally, this campaign just started. Here we spent $1,800. We have 3. This is a first click coming out of HubSpot from the actual closed won deals. It's $624 for this company that's called RTA, and RTA is selling these $20,000 outdoor kitchens. So we made $60,000 in sales in our first week. Cost us $1,800. So if you're doing it right, oh yeah, it's a gold mine.
Yeah, I mean, like creative diversification is the key with everything here. So I mean, they are, they have a multi-step form. There's a lot, like every product is slightly different. Oh, yeah. In most cases, you need more touch points depending on how high the price point is in a lot of cases, but not always.
But if you're looking at this creative here, like you can't sell high ticket items unless it looks like this. Yeah. And also potentially maybe has some famous people from Real Housewives of Orange County and that kind of stuff. So if you're going to be selling big ticket items, you better be presenting yourself like a big ticket company. Yeah. No one's going to buy an outdoor kitchen if I'm just like, I think I got one in the back. You want it? Right. It's like movie stars love us. Do you want one for me? Let me see if I have time for you. I'm not saying don't take that approach in creative, but that's sort of how you have to present yourself.
There's a little bit of sizzle in there.
A little arrogance. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, another question from him. Would you import 2 stages for offline conversions or only converted lead for, I assume it's this one for this $1,000 plus ticket?
Yeah, no, it's I would choose, there is, in my opinion, only one point. It's only the converted lead. Now that converted lead though, it happens early. So it takes 6 months for us to actually make money on this outdoor kitchen because it takes 6 months to build. But on the day that they sign the contract to give me a $500 down payment, I have a 93% history that those down payments go to full close. So I have a 93% essentially accuracy of closed deals up to $20,000 each that is only being imported, but it's imported in the first week we generate the lead. As soon as we get to that point where it's like, they made it here, it's a 93% chance we're going to get 20 grand. I'm like, throw the 20 grand in there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mess up my campaigns off a 7% chance it doesn't happen.
You're not gonna, I mean, it's the immediacy of the lead. I mean, going back to the PI law question, it's usually it's signed case that usually happens within like 3 days to a couple of weeks. That's oftentimes an offline conversion back in, but it's the step before the actual step that is indicative that you're going to make the sale. It's a very high likelihood. So you're doing the same thing here. If they put down a down payment, they're serious. So you got to figure out what that element is. And sometimes it's not the actual sale itself, but sometimes it is a sale. It sort of depends.
Yeah, so, there's going to be 50 depends, like you say. There's always those things that are going to be hurdles to jump over. But yes, it is all of the work. 99% of the work happens before your creative, and then the creative is the last but most important step. And if you have a great website, your lead flow process, your CRM tool, your sales team, like all that is a well-oiled machine. It's not a traffic problem. It's a creative objective, and then just traffic to the creative. So it is still for a creative, need, really.
And that import on RTA is, correct me if I'm wrong, is a Zapier import from HubSpot, correct?
Like it now just switched over to First Click Cappy.
Okay.
So we just switched. It used to be a HubSpot Zap, but then HubSpot was like missing 70% of the conversions. I have 1,300 leads this last 2 months that are all direct traffic with UTMs from Facebook and Google. So I'm like, okay, I'm not even importing all of them. So yeah,
makes sense. All right. Does Meta have the same functionality for offline conversions like Google has with FB Click ID?
Yeah, import from clicks. Oh, so Meta has Cappy imports, and then Google has the Gclid, Gbraid, and Wbraid. But yes, one's called Cappy Conversion API. The other one's just import from clicks.
Okay. Thanks for answers, and lots of he's blowing you lots of kisses, or she or he. I'm not quite sure. I can't see the image because my glasses aren't good enough.
I don't see gender or color.
That's right. They, them, whatever it is. Everybody wants to learn about this stuff. Jay has another question here. Super interesting. If you're building out the lead gen strategy, would you go more for Google, YouTube, and use Meta as a secondary platform? He asked the question about PI law.
Yeah, I would still use Meta as a primary platform, and I would use Google and YouTube as a secondary. Only reason why Meta is very inexpensive prospecting and awareness. You can even use traffic campaigns if you're in a small geography. They don't really get spammed by bots because it's small. But your Google is where you're going to have probably 30% of your spend, but that spend is going to be very high CPC. So if it's like accident, injury, attorney near me, you're paying $1,000 a click sometimes.
Yeah.
How much budget can you put in there if you got 10 chances and nothing comes out of it? So you do need to play a little bit of like, I do want really high, good quality, but maybe not all of it because that's really expensive. But I do need, the bus stop, the billboard, and the actual bus, like every other attorney does here, where it's like Lerner and Rowe is the way to go. Call 97719. Oh, I listened to that for 20 years. I know that number by heart. If I've ever in an accident, I'm calling Lerner and Rowe. Yeah, that's the effect that Meta has, though.
Yeah,
you need both.
And Ollie Leeboy, you really should be bidding on truck accident attorney.
There you go.
Michigan, by the way. I don't know what you were thinking on that one. A little joke between him and me.
I do have time for like one more.
All right. Well, actually, Roman's the straightest man in the world. There you go. That's all right. We got one last one here. We can get in.
That's great.
Lead that meets 3/4 qualifications. Technically, that's two key. Would you push the data back into Meta and increase volume, or would you push the lead that match 4 out of 4 qualifications? Oh, I see what you're saying here.
Well, when you say 3 out of 4 qualifications, I would look through the rate of all the 3 out of 4. Didn't really didn't make that situation. So if you say, hey, I have a lead that meets 3 out of 4 and technically DQ'd, how many of those actually go to close? Because if it is, my question is do you need that 4th qualification? That's where my brain goes.
Is it like
it's like, hey, 50% of these 3 out of 4s close. It's like, well, maybe how many times can you just get a lot of 3 out of 3s? Because if you're 50% and the close rate is more economical, or not economical, is more situational, like, oh, I was gonna sell them an outdoor kitchen, but they got hit by a bus.
Right.
Well, they're DQ'd because they're not alive. Right. Would that happen every time? Maybe not. So you've got to figure out how much your quality at bats costs and see how many you can get in without reducing quality. And that we don't have time right at the end here, but that is how I would look at that.
You have to look at your number one most important question, like bath fitters, for example. Do you own the house? Do you own? Do you rent or own? If you rent, no.
Exactly right. So that is one of the 4 qualifiers that you have to have.
And that's the question you should ask yourself. All right.
Yep.
Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you, John Moran, for yet another amazing ad lab, cooking up chaos in the conversion kitchen here. We will be back next week, 2:30 Eastern. Same time, same channel. We'll see you then. Sayonara.
See you, everybody.